The phrase, "I hate when an ugly girl calls me twin," and the phrase, "couldn't be me," are thematically the same thing. I think it was Aristotle who said, "A friend is another self," but in reality, anyone could be your mirror. Hello, my name is Wakasa, and I'm a constant stream of consciousness, and I am on a mission to make my little web of content. Today, we will be discussing the ugly twin trope because it's Gemini season. So I've been doing research, and I found out that the Gemini twins, Castor and Pollux, were actually born of an egg. Why? Well, it was because Zeus turned himself into a swan, and depending on the version, he either assaulted their mother or seduced the mother, and she got pregnant by him. So she popped out an egg, and Castor and Pollux came out of it. And this made me think of the ugly duckling story because a batch of children were born, and one didn't look like the other, and it was treated as ugly, only to find out that it was only considered ugly because it wasn't really a duck, it was a swan. And this is the root of really my argument, which is like comparison is the thief of joy. And I think specifically the phrase thief is really interesting when you know Gemini is ruled by Mercury and Mercury is a trickster god. Therefore, it scams and steals. So comparing yourself to other people makes you miserable. And I discussed this in my video, I'm Not the Birthday, where I literally called myself, yeah, I'm the ugly bitch. I'm the ugly twin. The conversation was really about the gravity of emotion, the emotion being envy. And there's a lot of tropes in the Gemini myth about sibling rivalry and how they envy the other for the features that makes them different or makes them apart from each other. Because in a lot of ways, why couldn't I have been that version of you? Or like, why couldn't I have been the version of my sibling? Why am I me instead of my sibling? Because fundamentally, if you come from the same background, you have the same mother and father, you literally are twins, identical twins. You could have been the other twin, but you're not the other twin. But again, comparison is the thief of joy. And really, the best way to know that you're pretty, to know that you're not ugly, is to really embrace exactly who you are. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Someone left in my comments on my Naruto video where I was discussing how Naruto and Sasuke are based off of the creator's brother, which the creator of Naruto is a twin, where they said, yes, twins can also be used as a metaphor for internal conflict, which is what I think envy can often be like, where it's just like, there's a version of me that looks like this person, because yes, we are all reflections of each other. There are parts of a person's life that's like, oh, that's like me. Like we all, for the most part, we all have a mother, we all have a father. We all grew up having this, that, and the third. We all grew up eating food. What type of food, that might be different, but like there are universal experiences that we're all experiencing. We all want to be recognized for our good. We all want to have grace when we fail. You know what I mean? Like for me, my video was really about how I envy celebrities because I want to be an artist. I want to be a world-renowned artist. I want to do singing. I want to do dancing. I want to do acting. I want to write books. I want to have museum events. Like there's so many things that I wanted. Oh, I want to walk fashion houses. You know what I mean? And when I see people in my life or I see a celebrity who's getting a version of that, there's like envy in that because it's like, why can't I be that? But what really what really grounds me is realizing like, that's their life. If I wanted their life, I would have their life, but I don't have their life. I have my life. And I'm supposed to live my exact life. And then it also has to do with brother complexes because again, Gemini has to do with a lot of sibling rivalry, which is always rooted in the feeling of envy. And when I say, I mean, you can watch my video about the femcell, but like the whole Gemini twin rivalry thing, you can see it in Cersei Lannister and Jaime Lannister, but that's like one of like to the nth, like worst degree of it, but also like the concept of a brother complex, which you can see in a lot of anime, where you're infatuated with your sibling in a way that's not healthy. Like the aggression or the aggression or malintent that you have towards your sibling can often be very eerie, very uncanny, very like go to therapy, you know what I mean? It's the idea of not being an individual, which reminds me of something that someone was talking about when the manon situation was going on, where they're like, the Cat's Eye girls are really struggling with the fact, like they are really struggling with like the Beyonce effect. I will link it down below because they explained it in a way that I don't know if I can replicate it. But in a lot of ways, we get it in our head that I can't be great because someone else is great and they took that spot. But in reality, they took their spot and you have to go find your spot. And if you think there's only one spot That's not how it works. We all have a mission on this world, and if you're comparing yourself thinking that you're supposed to be living someone else's life, then yeah, of course you're going to fail. And I think this is the part that I was going to get to, where it's just like, yeah, if you're basing your pretty, you're basing your perfect, you're basing your success off of the rubric of another person, of course you're going to underperform. Of course you're going to fail. Of course you're going to be ugly. And I sort of withheld the information. Their mother, Castor and Pollux, didn't just birth them. She actually birthed two eggs. One had Castor and Pollux in it, and then the other had Helena of Troy and her sister Clytemnestra. What's interesting is that the Odyssey movie is coming out, and I even have the Iliad and the Odyssey book, and I need to read it before this movie comes out so then I understand what's going on. But Lupita's gonna play Helen of Troy, right? She's also going to play Clytemnestra. And I think it's going to be interesting to see someone with the same face being treated as not as beautiful, not as fair, not as gorgeous. Because realistically, the myth is a bit off, because in a lot of ways, it's like there was one egg and another egg. The boy twins, the girl twins. Really, they're quadruplets. The way now we understand like the science of birthing or twins is that if one egg and it splits, then they're identical, then they have the same mother and father, right? But in the myth, they were like, Castor, I think, is Zeus's child, and then the other one is the queen's husband, the king of Sparta. Did I tell you? Their mother was the queen of Sparta. The king of Sparta. So one twin is for Zeus, the other one's for the king, right? And then the other one, Helena, is thought to be Zeus's child, and then Clytemnestra is thought to be the king's child. But in reality, now that we understand it, it would either be that Castor and Pollux would be Zeus's kids, and then Helena and Clytemnestra would would be the girl twins would be the king of Sparta, or it would be that the girl twins are Zeus's kids, and then the boy twins would be King Sparta's kids, because that's how it would work technically, biologically, with logic. But of course, this is mythology. It's vaguely fantasy, you know what I mean? So it doesn't have to make sense. But that is something that I'm interesting to see, because I don't actually know the whole story. I know that Helen gets kidnapped and things happen. People die. All I know is that for the most part, everyone treats Helena like the most beautiful person ever, but her twin, I just learned her name. I'm going to be honest. I just learned her name. So obviously she would be the ugly twin, but she's going to have the same face. And I want to know if maybe the reason why she feels like the ugly twin is because Helen is the daughter of Zeus, and that she's favored by the gods or whatever. And it feels like her life is falling into place, and like things are coming to her. And compared wise, it's like, oh, I wish I had her life. Why don't I have her life? But really, you're not supposed to have her life. You're on another mission because you're allegedly the king's daughter, not Zeus's daughter, which entails different missions in life. And that's something that I've just been thinking about. But yeah, I'm a very envious person. I've called myself the ugly twin. And in the video, I even brought it up where I was just like, yeah, I call myself Lucky Ducky, right? And I think maybe pulling from the ugly duckling trope, really like going on a journey to really establish that I'm gorgeous, or like that I'm my own person, that I should not compare myself to other people, that I am fully, unapologetically myself. And I know my mission on this life to be who I am. So then I don't have to feel like, oh, I'm failing, or I'm failing, or oh, I'm a loser, or oh, I don't really have everything that I want because I'm comparing it to someone else's life. You know what I mean? Like, I'm living my life. And of course, because I'm living my life, then I can then look at my life and go, hey, these are things in my life that I don't particularly like and I want to change. Not for external approval, but specifically for my happiness. And that's really the ugly twin trope that I was trying to talk about when I was just like, yeah, we're all reflections of each other. You know, when you see something in a person that you don't like, it's often something that you don't like in yourself, but also specifically, you don't like the potential of that being you. Often when people judge, hey, that couldn't be me, it's because it really could be you. And you think that you have the mental fortitudes or the privileges or whatever to never find yourself in that situation. And the universe will test you. And then you get to find out if it really would be you. It really couldn't be you. You know what I mean? Thank you so much for watching. Please comment down below. Have you ever felt like the ugly twin? Do you ever compare yourselves to your siblings? Do you ever compare yourself to your friends? Do you compare yourself to celebrities? Like, do you ever feel like, oh, they are the more successful, prettier, happier version of me, and why can't I be that? and really like sit with yourself, like really understanding that you aren't that person. You know, that is just a reflection. You who are you, your personhood, you know, you only live in your mind. You don't get to live vicariously through this person. That's another one. Living vicariously through people. That's more of a motif that you could probably find in my latest live, the last thing that I ever uploaded last week. Oh my god, it's been a while actually since I've uploaded. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. There's this new feature called a hype thing. I don't know. You should also look into that. But yeah, follow for more and bell notification. All right, thank you so much. Y'all have a blessed, beautiful day. Bye. And if I had the foresight, I could have also made this about aliens by bringing up Lilo and Stitch. Next time.